All right, beautiful people. Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And as usual, I have with me the hoop earring wearing, the self-love popping, the in and out of the podcast, always just barely on time queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
That's me. Right,
That's you, factually.
I was in the other room. It's not like I'm coming. Okay. What's up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, aka
The
Health Nerd. And here on the day before Thanksgiving for us right now.
Yes.
When by the time you listen to this, turkey would have been had.
Twice.
3 times, 4 times.
4 times. Yeah.
But I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Why are you so excited, Queen?
Because we don't eat meat on a regular basis, so we decide when we're gonna allow ourselves to eat meat, which is holidays, aka Thanksgiving. So that's a big one, and it's always been one of my favorite holidays for the food specifically.
Right.
I mean, and family, of course.
Agreed.
Love them too, but food.
Yeah, y'all saw that family was an afterthought. You saw that, right? Mom, dad, grandma, nana. All right, cool. So let's do a short check-in because we do have a special guest for y'all today. So we do want to get to the guests, but as usual, a nice kind of a frequency check-in with the Queen. How are you doing? How you feeling? How are your vibes?
Let's switch things up. You go first.
Oh, okay. Swerve. I'm feeling pretty good. It could be because we have an early week and today is Friday. So, you know, that definitely helps. Second, we did finally launch the self-love sweatsuits. About time. It's been a year in the making. I did go through the pictures and you made your drawing a little over a year ago. So yeah, it took a year for the Queen to write it out, design it, give it to Markel. Markel put his final touches on it. Boom, give it to the designer. Boom, they go ahead and manufacture.
I mean, we also weren't working on it throughout the whole time. Like we had a time frame, like, oh, we're gonna launch this in September of next year. So if you're trying to launch a clothing brand, like we're not saying it's going to take a year. It might take a year, but it doesn't have to take a year. We were specific with the timing. Right. But yeah, it's really, really exciting.
Well done. Shout out to the team. Shout out to the squad. If you want to get your self-love sweatsuit, go ahead and head to truehealth4ever.com. Get your sweatsuit. Our special guest already got his. It's put in the mail. We appreciate you. But yeah, it's been a pretty solid week. It is crunch time for UC applications as well. So that means I've been getting a lot of emails from my job doing that stuff. But yeah, it's the end of that now. So whoop. Yep. How about you?
It's been good. It feels weird. This week feels weird because it is a short week and there's a holiday, but like I still had a lot of work to do, both at work and like MBA work. So I am almost there. One of my classes is officially done. Like I turned in my last assignment last night.
Bang.
That one's done. Finishing up the last couple assignments, and then I got my final exam to do by Sunday.
This Sunday?
Then, yeah. Okay. And after, I'm lying, that's not it. Because I still have another homework assignment. Who makes a homework assignment due after the final?
Couldn't tell you.
Anyways, but after that, I'm done. I'm free, and I will have my MBA.
Yes, we will have our MBA.
Yes,
hard work was put in to get this degree. So if you are listening to this, listen to it live. It's towards the end of the year. And we all know that at the beginning of years, 2021's coming around the corner. Some people are looking for that little extra oomph, little extra motivation, whether it's starting your business, whether it's getting your own personal health together, whether it's getting just situated in your own career. Either way it goes, you need some kind of that driving force behind you. You need that team behind you to give you some wise words, to give you some motivation, to take yourself to the next level. And that's exactly who we have on here today. So we're going to get right into the episode. here we have the FYB Fire Your Boss King himself, also one of the co-hosts of the Ivy League podcast, Richmond, California native and Chico State alumni, Josiah Greer. Welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Oh, what's going on? Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Especially we was in sync with that. You know what I'm saying? I was legit. I was feeling that.
Yeah, it's a nice little transition. It gets you like, all right, let's go.
But you got to have it with someone who can actually dance. All of other people, they didn't even try. I respect it though. But welcome to the podcast. Let's hop right into it. Can you talk a little bit about FYB? What is Fire Your Boss? What is the movement, the energy, and how are y'all helping people out there?
Yeah, so FYB, which, like you said, it stands for Fire Your Boss. What we're trying to do is allow people to understand the power that they have within themselves. A lot of times we think that, there are people that are in charge of us, but in reality, and I think in this society that we have now, we're becoming more woke and realizing our actual power, our abilities. And so we just teach people that, you're your most important person to you. There's nobody that can really dictate what you do with you other than you. And so we're just trying to encourage people to remember that, yes, you may have somebody that you work with to get certain economic advantages, but you don't work for anybody. You work for yourself. You are your own boss. I even, when I'm talking to some of my employees, I tell them, I say, I'm not your boss, I'm your supervisor. I think language is important. There's a difference. I don't tell you what to do. I make recommendations, and ultimately it's up to you to make the decision as to what you're going to do. And then me as a supervisor, I follow up with that decision as to whether or not it's going to be this type of result or this type of result. And so we're just encouraging people just to remember the power that you have to be what you want. Of course, there are different circumstances that people have that kind of make it more difficult. But again, at the end of the day, the one thing that you can control in this world is yourself. And so it's important to utilize it to the best of your ability.
Love that. Last week we talked about taking responsibility. So I love that the one thing you have complete and utter control over is your own body, your own mind. Well done. So there's a lot of different directions we can go on this, and I listened to the Ivy League podcast. Y'all talk about a lot of good stuff on there, and then obviously know you personally, know what you're doing for the business. So I feel like there's a lot of tentacles, and I'm gonna try to keep it right here. But if I go,
It's
you
good.
just rock with me. So starting off, I see the late and great King Hustle in your background. Can you just say like what Nipsey to you represents and any like notable messages that you kind of take with you?
I mean, for me, honestly, he represents a lot. I really took his assassination to heart. Um, uh, because this was a young man who I'm not gonna lie and say like I was a huge Nipsey Hussle music fan. You know what I'm saying? I did like there were some songs that I liked, prior to his assassination. And I think his album, I was saying this before, when he was alive, I said that was a Grammy. That should have been won a Grammy, in my opinion. No shade to Cardi B. I think she had a great album as well, but I just felt like that album to me spoke, again, I said that when he was alive. But for me, one thing that he said that really kind of stuck out, he said, you can't force your expectations of me on me. He said that I'd rather, be at peace with myself and at war with the world than be at peace with the world and at war with myself. And so for me, that kind of stuck with me, and it's just much love. But like, I really respect what more than just the music. I respect what he stood for, and the moves that he was making amongst his community and trying to give back and trying to educate people going in. Or we're talking about everything from math and science and really just teaching people teaching people entrepreneurship. And for me, his assassination hit home because he was murdered the same day my little sister was murdered. And so it just really, like, I felt it, what I'm saying? I felt that energy. I was already feeling that energy that day. And so when I found out about his assassination, it kind of hit me a little harder. So for me, I'm trying to make sure that what he stood for doesn't die. Forget the raps, forget the lyrics, what the message that he was trying to send, as in, again, be your own boss, be an entrepreneur, own your craft, own the things that you do. Don't allow anybody else to take advantage of you. That's something that I kind of embodied and that I'll continue to push.
Big facts. And you already kind of talked about it a little bit, but your own kind of personal background and what initially got you into this career of education and what motivated you to, go off to college and get your own bachelor's as well. Can you talk a little bit about, the community that you come from and the motivation for education?
Yeah, I mean, I like you mentioned earlier, I come from Richmond, California. It's not many people would say that it's not the best environment. And I have 10 siblings, so I have a pretty big family. I'm the
Got the
youngest boy.
family reunion.
Yeah. So it's just coming from that and just watching, I'm the youngest boy, so watching my older siblings, go through life growing up in Richmond and me being the first in my family to go to college, because it just kind of worked that way, and I was lucky because of that. And one thing that I know is that I'm not absent of mistakes. I'm not absent of things that the same things that they were getting in trouble for with the law was the same things that I was doing. I just may not have gotten caught at that particular time. And so I understand that, I lucked out. And it unfortunately took me, getting in trouble with the law before I was able to kind of recognize, okay, you have to make a change. Otherwise, this is going to be, your future. You've already seen what this kind of future looks like because you have so many older siblings that have had these type of issues. And so you have a choice. You can either follow the same thing or you can, make a change and go about life a different way. And so for me, I think I wanted to see what life would be like if I didn't choose that path, if I chose the other one. So it was difficult. There was definitely some things that happened in my life that, kind of wanted to push me back towards, my Richmond upbringings, my
Yep.
Richmond roots. But like I mentioned with like, my sister being murdered but ultimately, I'm thankful that I didn't because it puts me in the position to be where I am now. And ultimately my experience is actually my biggest, the thing that people gravitate to most is me talking about where I come from and what I've been through. So
Mm,
had I had made that decision, I would have never gotten the chance
right.
to be in this platform today to be able to talk with you all. So I'm thankful for those tough times. I didn't like it at the time, but I'm thankful for them now.
All right. Definitely on our behalf, sorry for your loss, but
Yeah.
thankful for the way you've been able to spend it and change lives and encourage other folks out there in the world for sure. So mindset. I think when you're coming from that type of community, trying to shift your mindset to do something maybe a little bit different, right? That's the mindset shift that Nipsey had to make. That's the mindset shift that you had to make, and a lot of other people who may be listening. What are some like just key points that you try to motivate folks on how they can shift their mindset, whether it's firing your boss, starting your health journey? Like, what's that trigger that you try to flip on for folks?
I think for me, it's all about recognizing what you want. What do you want in life? Because, again, like I said, I've already seen, what it's like to make bad decisions. I've seen based on, again, luckily me being the youngest boy and having six older brothers, I was able to see some of the decisions that they made and what the outcome of that decision is. My mom didn't go to college, my dad didn't go to college, my brothers didn't go to college, my older sister didn't go to college. So I've already know what this path is going to look like. So, but I had to ask myself, is this what you want? And if not, then okay, what do you want? And once you're able to see, okay, this is what I want, then now it's all about, okay, it's kind of like with movies, right? Like they used, I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day, they said that they would film the finale first and then work backwards. You know what I'm saying? And so that is kind of how I embody as far as trying to be successful. It's write down the goal and then work backwards. How do you achieve that goal? So if your goal is to, to get a 4.0, yes, that sounds good. But if you don't have a plan, my boy DT says, a goal without a plan is just a wish. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have a plan and work backwards, okay, yeah, I want to get a 4.0. How do you do that? Okay, well, in order to do that, I got to get straight A's. Well, clearly, how do you get straight A's? That means I got to turn in every assignment. Okay, well, how many hours a week does that mean that I have to dedicate towards being able to work towards these assignments in order to get A's? So it's just working backwards for that particular goal that you have. And that's kind of what I try to talk to students about is talk about where you want to go what do you want to be? And then try to find people that did it and ask them what was their path on doing that. See if you can, kind of get some mentorship in that aspect. But even if you can't, then you have to work backwards on your own and say, okay, what am I going to do to make this happen? And of course, there's going to be mistakes if you're just freestyling it, you know what I mean? And they're going to be mistakes even if you have a mentor, but that's okay. The main thing is learning from each of those mistakes. For me, I'm a 30-year-old man. I've made plenty, and I mean plenty of mistakes in this path of trying to achieve greatness. But at the end of the day, I learned from those mistakes, and I made sure that I didn't make the same mistake twice.
Nice. Like on here, we definitely harp on manifestation, and I want to get into this maybe a little bit later with you on what is that end goal when you look at FYB, when you look at Josiah, when you're 60, like what is that end goal? But let me segue a little bit, because I know the Queen has some health related questions that she may want to ask.
That's not what I was about to ask.
Oh, it's not? Go ahead, Queen.
I was actually going to be a follow-up question to what you just said, because I think it's really important to point out, and what you said about, what the path, if you don't, change your mindset, if you don't strive for greatness, what that path already leads to, because you've seen it within your family members. So I think it's important to kind of point out, because I think a lot of, like, including us and our, a lot of people who probably listen to this podcast, especially if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, if you're the only person in your family, if you don't have anybody else in your family who has gone down that path, you may get some resistance, you may get some negative comments, some pushback. You will get some pushback on whatever you're trying to accomplish, because it is unfamiliar. It's risky. It's, a little bit less secure. And it's unknown, again, to everything that you and your family or generations or wherever do know. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wondered if there's any other, like, tools or advice you can give to someone, even if it's about, like, how to surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. If you're in a situation where the immediate people around you maybe don't have the experience that you're looking to gain. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you work within your means, and that I don't just mean, like, as far as economically. I mean, if you may not have someone that personally that's, a famous actor, but I promise you there's somebody that's acting, you know what I'm saying, that, within your city, and so it's about finding, okay, maybe I can't work with somebody that's in Hollywood, but I can work with somebody that's a drama teacher, you know what I'm saying, or that's in class if I want to be an actor, or an actress. So it's about, working within your means and just finding someone that can relay the message. And I'm a strong believer and you can learn something from anyone. So I'm one of those kind of people where I can have a conversation with a homeless person the same way I can have a conversation with a billionaire and learn something from them, because at the end of the day, that homeless person, they still have experience, and that's something that I don't have. You know what I mean? They may have, like, I've talked to homeless people who told me that they used to have a lot of money, and they talked about how they lost all their money. And that for me was information that I was able to learn about how to manage money a certain way. So it's just about working within your means. And it just starts off with, getting outside of your comfort zone. If you know that, you live in a particular environment that you don't like, then do what you can to get outside of that zone, that area specifically of that. I'm talking about your home, right? And talk with people who are not a part of your family that may have a little bit of experience, and you never know. Like, you'd be surprised that one conversation may lead to, oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, I know somebody that actually just created their own board game. Let me introduce you to such and such. But you never know. They never know to even talk to you about them, because, you never brought up the conversation. So it's just all about opening your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Never.
Right.
Especially on Thanksgiving. You ain't getting no food. But health related questions specific. Go ahead, Quinn.
How does Fire Your Boss promote mental health, spiritual health? What are some things that y'all do to really educate folks in the health space?
In regards to mental health, I think that's probably the one area that we do help out the most, because, with our Wise Word Wednesdays, I'm sure we're going to touch on that a little bit later, probably. But, and I apologize if it's but that's probably the one aspect that I think that us as a group of people touch on the most, because it's something that we're doing every week. We give these motivational quick speeches to just to help encourage people, because it's tough. The world is tough. Learning is tough. Transitioning from one phase to another is tough. And so I think that all we're doing is just, if we can just create a spark of energy, or just able to say, for someone to say, you know what, I'm going through that, or I feel like that too, or I felt like that too. If we can get your mind back right, then the rest will follow. But it starts with up here. So we try to just give some type of encouraging words, and we intentionally did it on the Wednesday, not because the Wise Word Wednesday sounds good, but we did it because Monday, a lot of people's like, all right, Monday, it's the first day of the week. I'm going to, first day of work, I'm going to start getting in there, you know what I mean? And Friday, the week is over, you know what I mean? But what about that hump day? What about in the middle of the week? Hump day, you know? What about the middle of the week when you are feeling drained, when you feel like, dang, I don't know if I can make it to Friday. We want to use that opportunity to remind you, to encourage you. Hey, listen, you got this. Like, whatever you're going through, trust me, we're going through it too. But you got this. You can still, maintain yourself and be successful and overcome whatever obstacle it is, because somebody out there in this world has overcome a similar obstacle.
Love it, love it. And it is a beautiful transition. Well done, Queen. Well done, Josiah. It's a great transition to talking about Wise Words Wednesdays. Can you talk? So you already kind of said like how it got started, but maybe like that first Wise Words Wednesdays and how you got so many other people to also post. I think a lot of people come up with like good, catchy ideas to do on social media, but not a lot of people are able to really create a community around this same energy and have other people sending in their wise words and their thoughts. So can you kind of go through the brainchild of Wise Words Wednesdays?
Yeah, I mean, I think what really happened is a group of my friends, Reese and DT, we got together, and we just we talk a lot. We have super big conversations. As you probably heard from the podcast, we talk a lot. But essentially, the podcast is just our conversation that we usually have, being recorded. Yeah. So, but we have these conversations all the time, and we just like got to talking about social media, and we just realized that there was a lot of negativity, on social media. A lot of bad people bashing each other or talking down or thinking like, if you don't look like this or you don't act like this, then you ain't this, and and obviously that is something to do with us, right? Because those are people we follow, right, on social media. But we just said, yo, what if one day a week we just promise to put something positive out there? Because what a lot of people don't realize is that social media is your digital record. And 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, even 100 years from now, when you're not there, when you're not here anymore, people are going to have the ability to go back into your digital platform and to talk about, or to use that to kind of generalize your character, or, or to really kind of, determine whether or not you were a good human being, and of course, society has shown us that the great Black leaders, they're going to take the negative aspect of it and utilize that. And so what we said was, look, let's just promise to, no matter what happens, from this day forward. We started this almost 4 years ago. We said, what if we just said, let's put one thing out there a week that's positive, to where no matter what happens, somebody somewhere who's following us or paying attention to us can be able to get some form of inspiration. Because it is hard. It's difficult, especially like there are so much body shaming going on. There's so much like, I got money and you don't, and I'm better than you. And in reality, man, we're all human beings. We all struggle. Even that person that's a trillionaire, they have other things that they're struggling with as well. Money may not be it, but what about their mental health, or what about their physical health, and so on and so forth. So we just said, let's promise to put something positive out there one day a week that people can look forward to doing. And ultimately, when we did it, we never expected anybody else to do it as well. But what happened was, other people started seeing it, and they would hit us up and say, hey, I'm interested in doing a wise word as well. What do I have to do? A lot of people thought that they have to be a part of FYB to do a wise word. And we were just like, no, it's not like an FYB thing. And this is just, if you want to do it, do it. But the only thing that we ask is that you keep it positive. Don't talk negative about any other person. Don't talk negative about your friends, your family, none of that. You can talk about a specific situation, you know what I'm saying, which is okay. But but just make sure that you just keep it positive. At the end of the day, it has to have a positive spin on it. And people just started sending it to us and sending it to us, and it just continued to grow, and it's still growing. I mean, there's so many, like, it's getting to the point where I don't even get a chance to look at other people's wise words because I don't have the time. I just don't have the time to be able to do that. And it's a blessing. That's a great problem to have. I'm excited that more and more people, and it's getting to the point where I don't even, like, there's people who post them that they never send it to me anymore. They just post it on their own page, and I'm like, hey, I love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because my goal was never to, or our goal was never to be famous from this. It was never to get 1 million followers. Again, we just wanted to make sure that we left a digital platform for people to go to be able to look for words of encouragement. So if I don't care if I never get 1 million followers. We don't care if nobody ever recognized us as the Wise Word Wednesdays creator. Like, we don't care. I don't care who's doing it. As long as the message is out there, then I'm satisfied with that. And us as a team, we're satisfied with that as well too. But at the same time, we know where it came from. You dig?
We know what it was. And kind of, secondary question, if you would like to answer, is, are there any thoughts or ideas on how to monetize what FYB is doing with Wise Words Wednesday and all the other things, to be able to have either like a nonprofit organization, scholarships, or any other amazing ideas that you and the team have? Any thoughts to try to monetize those efforts?
Yeah, I mean, we are always looking for ways to improve, and of course, with us being entrepreneurs, we're always looking about trying to find ways to be able to benefit and, like you said, monetize on it. But our thing is, we want to also make sure that we're able to give back. Give back to the community with whatever it is. So, I don't know if you knew before, but we did, make some T-shirts with that said the justice on them, with the FYB, and now this is your first time seeing the hoodie, the justice hoodie. These are coming out eventually, but the dope thing about that is, 100% of those proceeds went to a nonprofit organization. And so when we sell these as well too, we're not making money off of it. We're literally giving it right back to the community, and not just any nonprofit organization, but specifically a Black nonprofit organization in the city of Sacramento. So, we are monetizing it, but at the same time, we want to give it back to the community because we're going to be set. We're going to make money no matter what. We want this to work for the community. We want other people to be able to benefit from what we do. So I'd say that's where we're at right now at this point.
Oh yeah, love that. We definitely got ourselves a justice shirt. I rocked it in episode 3 of Dreamcatchers. So you'll see it later. You'll see it later.
Much love.
All right, next question. I like to get into like a game type of situation. All right. So this may involve some, thinking quickly on your feet, but we got all night. Not really, but take your time. All right. So I want to do a section called "Who Said These Wise Words?" Right.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do exact quotes because I'm not good at exact quotes. All right. I'm going to give you a general quote, and you can let me know who either you think should have said that or who actually said that in real life. Are you ready?
Wait, so let me ask you, is this only FYB people, or is this just anybody in the world?
Oh no, this is anybody in the world.
Woo! All right, let's do it. I apologize in advance.
All good, all good. I'm gonna do ones that I think you're gonna know. By any means necessary. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Malcolm
Wise
X,
words.
The late great Malcolm X.
There it is. There it is. All right. Ding, 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 ding. All right. All right. Up next. Don't take no handouts. If you build it, it's more lucrative.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to say Nipsey Hussle.
Come on. 2 for 2. It's too easy. All right. Let's try to see. Let me think. One more. All right. I may not get there with you, but I've seen the mountaintop, and it is glorious.
I'm going to say Martin Luther King Jr.
Come with it. Come with it.
Great.
All right. All right. Let's see. Maybe one more. If you have one, feel free, Queen. No? Don't hurt yourself now.
It's not. No.
Oh, no. It made you laugh. I want to hear this now.
It's not really like, it's not like motivational. It was literally just gonna be
Go ahead, Quinn.
like, always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper.
Ooh, that's a great one, but I don't know. I don't know.
Ah, got him.
Are
The
you gonna
best
educate us?
revenge.
Who said these wise words?
Queen Bee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I was
But
thinking that. I really was. But
Yeah.
like, I was thinking Beyonce for sure. For sure.
That's the quote I had on my graduation cap when I
yeah,
graduated.
there it is. Always stay
Gracious.
gracious.
Best revenge is your paper.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
And then the last one, if you have your wisest of words that either you've spoken or that you just have written down and you're just like, ooh, this person said this and it always motivates me, it always gets me going. If you care to share the one of the wisest words to these amazing audiences. And I'm talking a little bit longer to give you buffer time in case you need to go through the files and the records. All right, cool.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Oh,
It's if uh, when you want to be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
there it
You know who
is.
said that?
Shout out to ET. Yup. So,
Yeah.
which is a great segue. Can you talk about maybe a little bit on since ET it was right there for you? Can you talk about the maybe the roadmap or the pathway that you see for yourself through the journey of ET?
Yeah, I think for me, I started with ET in college. I started listening to him when I was in college. I used to run track. I was an athlete, and I think that's actually where me and you met, Devon. I think at UC Davis on the
Yep.
track. He was in the audience. I was like, "What's up, Brad?"
Yep.
But yeah, so I would listen to him before my races, and so I didn't really know what it was that it was motivational speaking that he was doing. I just knew that like I had downloaded this stuff from YouTube and like put it on my iPod and was like, you know what I mean, listening to it, and I just thought it was dope. And since then, obviously with me looking more into what motivational speaking is, and then actually getting in touch with a real motivational speaker and
Mhm.
multiple motivational speakers and learning that I just kind of really took on this kind of career. But really, I definitely follow ET on Instagram. I listen to his podcast. And I actually just purchased a shirt from him as well too recently. So for me, I think that what he was able to do was kind of kick open the door. Obviously Les Brown was one of the first huge ones as far as African American men within this industry, and so many others have come, since then. But I think that for me, what he's kind of gave me the idea that I could do something like this as a career, and I just look forward to the day that I get to speak with him privately and tell him that he's going to know my name at some point later in the future.
Oh yeah, it's coming. Manifest.
Yeah,
ET, Carl, CJ, Jamal will all soon
yeah,
sit down face to face or screen to screen in a private Zoom room with Josiah. Um,
yeah.
so motivational speaking is that so that's a career that you are stepping into, you are full-fledged in. Can you talk just about your motivational speaking career and where you're at with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've been doing my entire life. I just didn't know what it was. My mom she's a pastor, and so she got her ordination like 5 years ago, but like she was always in church even when I was growing up, and so she always had me like, kind of like speaking publicly. And so at that time, of course, I'm just thinking like, mom's is forcing me to do this. I don't want to do it, whatever, whatever. But even then, like even when I remember being in middle school, like I would go to juvenile halls and talk to kids, you know what I'm saying, about like their struggles and things like that, and just kind of encourage them as a team. And so that's why I said I've always been doing it. I just didn't know that you could get paid to do it. I just thought I was doing it because it was something my mom, you know what I'm saying, made me do. And even when I was in college, I would go back to Richmond and I would talk to like the students that were at continuation high schools, because I graduated from continuation high school. I got kicked out of school, 4 different high schools, 4 different elementary schools. Um, so I would talk to them just about my experience and how I was able to get to college and be a first generation college student, and how you're able to still be successful. And within the past 3 years, it just kind of really took more of a professional standpoint of it, because I got in touch with Kevin Bracey, who's a pretty known motivational speaker. In fact, he showed me the ropes, and another guy, Dwight Taylor Sr., who's another pretty known motivational speaker out here in Sacramento. And they were just able to kind of, hit me, like it showed me the ropes, it showed me the game as far as what a motivational speaking as a career looked like. Because of course I could see it on YouTube with ET, but I don't know the ins and outs of what the business aspect of it is. Right. And so they were kind of able to, take me under their wing. But again, it starts from, like I said, speaking it into existence to a certain degree, but then also connecting with them. And so what happened was I was at a place where Kevin Bracey did a presentation, and I came up to him after and I told him, hey, yo, I'm going to be next. So I said that to him. Literally, first comment, shook his hand. I said, hey, yo, you was dope, but I'm up next. I'm just telling you that now.
Love it.
Like, and so he was like, for real? Okay, well, take down my number. And hit me up. And so I started to text him every day at like 6 in the morning and tell him I was serious about being next. And so he saw my consistency. He saw that I like, yo, this kid ain't playing. And you'd be surprised at how many people text, or take down his phone number and don't even follow up with it. They say, oh, I want to be a speaker, and they don't follow up with it. And the only reason why I'm saying you'd be surprised is because I'm getting it now. Now people are asking me for my phone number because they want to be a speaker. They love what I do, and they never follow up. Or I'll be like, hey, email me. They never email me. So I was showing consistency every day. I would text this man at 6. I started texting him at like 9 o'clock because, I don't want to be disrespectful. And then he was like, no, and I kept talking to him. He's like, yo, if you're up earlier, you could text me earlier. So I was 6 o'clock because I'm at the gym at 6 a.m. texting him every day. He would immediately respond. I see you, nephew. I see you. I see you. And so he just saw my passion and just kept working with me. And step by step, he was just showing me that you got to do this, you got to do that. And then ultimately, he had a contest, a motivational speaking contest a couple of years ago. I think it was actually 2019. He had a motivational speaking contest where he had about 1,000 people packed in a theater, and he had people who are interested in doing motivational speaking. They came up and they went kind of head and head, almost like a battle. And I eventually, won. And the funny thing is,
what you can't just bring over your victory.
Won.
I won out of 1,000.
I won. And the beautiful part about that is that it was the audience that decided the winner. It wasn't like he said, hey, I want you to do it. You had to convince the audience. And here's the crazy thing about that. Not one single person was in that audience due to my invitation. So I went and convinced there were other people who, they knew that they were going to be in it. So they invited a ton of people. I literally convinced a bunch of other people's fans to cheer for me, in this contest. So I thought that was super beautiful to be able to do that. And it just kind of started hitting the ball rolling. It's like, and and now it's like, I'm doing one for Butte College, for Channel Islands, for Sac State. Like, it just continues to go. And because most of the time when you're doing motivational speaking, I don't ask people to, hey, you should book me. What happens is you do a presentation and there's one person in there that's like, yo, that was dope. I think it would be good for my school or for my program or for my students. And it just keeps going like that. And it's so beautiful because even some of the people who have booked me for speaking got me from my Wise Word Wednesday. So something that I started 4 years ago, that led to an opportunity to get paid to speak in 2020, so it's just, again, continuously being consistent with providing information or some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of, dang, I lost it. It's just some form of just pushing information or some product. There we go. Some type of product that you're taking out there for people to be able to gravitate to, because you don't know how that's going to come back to you later on in the future. So, and since then it's just been great. And now it's getting to the point where I'm like, oh boy, this is like, I taking over more of my real job. I got to
that part.
Like, hey, I'm not gonna be at work today because I got to do a presentation somewhere, but that's a beautiful problem to have, and I'm just excited to be able to have that people trust me with an opportunity to encourage, their people, especially when it's young people, when it's young people of color. I think for me that hits home because I know what it's like to be in the audience, to be a low income student, to be, to have issues with the law and to not be able to know what your next plan is going to be. So if I can provide some sense of faith or some sense of hope, then I'm happy to be able to do that.
All right. And whoo, so there's a lot that I want to ask right now. There was so many good nuggets in there, a lot of good stuff. Out of respect of time, I'm not going to ask all of them, but I will riff off of some. One, the whole people not being consistent situation definitely can relate to that. I have tons of board game creators or aspiring board game creators that are like, oh, hey, can you help me with my game? Hey, I have this prototype. Hey. And then I'm like, cool, we set up times, and then just I never hear from them ever again. Second thing that I think we picked up from ET that obviously you may have picked up as well is give out content for free. Like as much as possible, the Wise Words Wednesdays, our podcast, like just give out content because these will be like your little mini business cards out there in the world. And if people vibe with you, all you need is 1, 2, 3, 4 people to vibe with you, and boom, you got gigs. So love that kind of just hammering that down a little bit. But 2 follow-up questions, maybe if we have time. Okay. So first one is advice for people who are trying to get into the motivational speaker career industry. I know you have your mentors, maybe you can't give all the nooks and crannies, but just like one like really good useful piece of advice that you've gotten from your mentors that have helped you kind of boost yourself up to the next level. And then the second question is when do you make the decision to fire your boss? Right? Because like you're making some money outside of work, and now your passion is really being kind of slowed down by what you have to do to pay bills. And if your passion's paying some bills, at what point do you say, you know what? Peace.
Okay. So I'll start with the former. Advice that I would say, and this is probably one of the most difficult things to do as a motivational speaker, is to practice, right? That's the main thing. Practice and hone in on your skill. But the only way to do that is in front of people. And the number one fear in America, it ain't spiders, it isn't death, it's public speaking. And so, the hard part is that you have to be willing to put yourself in a vulnerable position to be able to learn, to be able to grow and to be able to get better. Like I said, luckily for me, my mother saw that I had this ability to speak as a young child. So she had me in front of people speaking. So now I'm not afraid to speak in front of any type of crowd of people. And I'm not afraid to mess up in front of a crowd of people either, because I know that I've been at a time when I was like 8. I remember when I was, trying to talk or this and that, and I was like freezing up, and I didn't make it. I cried, and oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember that, but because I experienced that at 8, I don't have to worry about that at 30. But people who are just trying to start out now, they may have a fear of speaking. And so they're like, I don't want to get in front of a crowd of 5 to 10 people and mess up or stutter on my words. And I'm like, yo, I ain't tripping. If I stutter, you saw earlier, I just lost my train of thought. I was like, oh yeah, there it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not afraid of it because, it's just going to happen. And so I would just say, continue to practice it. If it means starting off just in front of your friends and doing a quick little speech or recording yourself and showing your friends a video, yo, what do you think about this? Whatever way, you have to practice. And with speaking, you have to get in front of an audience. That's the only way to get better. And it's uncomfortable at first. I had to practice in front of a friend for 45 minutes for a presentation in front of one friend for 45 minutes. 5 times, to be able to make sure that that's almost 5 hours that I'm really right there practicing and honing in my skill. And that one friend had to listen the whole time and then critique me. So, it is
right.
Shouts out, right? Shouts out. But that's the one advice I'd say is just practice. You have to practice, you have to practice, you have to practice, because you don't want to get up there and not know what you're talking about. You want to make sure that you have in-depth knowledge about what it is that you're saying, because people are going to find out if you don't know what you're talking about. That's for sure. They're going to find out. And the other thing was, what was the second question? I forgot. My bad.
When to decide to fire your boss?
Right. So for me, I think that is a very personal question. And I think it may vary from person to person, but the advice that I would give is that anytime, if speaking is your passion, I don't care what your job is, anytime that your job is interfering with you being able to capitalize on your passion, it's time to make a change, right? So for me, luckily, I'm in a position where my supervisor knows this is my passion and she knows this is my gift. And so she understands. But also, there's times where I'm specifically willing to take vacation days so that way I don't technically miss work. I use my vacation days to go out and make time to be able to do my passion, which is speaking. But that means that, guess what? I can't actually go on vacation as much as other people can go on vacation, right? Because I'm working. But at the same time, at some point, there's going to come a time where I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm getting paid X amount of money to speak. I'd rather do that. And that's when I'll ultimately be able to make that choice to say, listen, this is interfering with my passion. Right. But your passion, again, has to be able to make enough for you to sustain that, sustain your lifestyle. So don't fire your boss until you've actually, until you've actually been experienced enough in this game to be able to profit and to be able to live the lifestyle that you want. The reason I'm still working the position that I'm in is, one, because I love it. That's the one thing. I love what I do, which is very rare, right? Most people don't love to wake up in the morning, they don't like their job, right? But I love my job. But also the other thing is that I know the lifestyle that I want to live. And I know that just speaking alone at this point is not going to provide the lifestyle that I want to live. So I'm going to still balance both until that changes. And thankfully I've been blessed enough to where I've never, ever had to ask anyone to have me speak. Every time I've gotten a speaking engagement, it was due to somebody requesting me, and I like that feeling, and I like being able to say that. So for me, I'm never going to be like, hey, do you need somebody to speak? You need somebody to speak? You need somebody to speak. If the opportunity presents itself, it will. But the one thing, like you said earlier, I'm going to keep producing the Wise Word Wednesdays. I'm going to keep producing the Ivy League podcast. I'm going to keep giving out this free content, because all I need is one person to listen to it. And if one person listens to it and one person's life is changed, then my mission is accomplished, whether I see a dime from it or not. My mission is accomplished, because that's what I feel like I was born to do, is to help change lives from a mental aspect of it.
Facts. And again, a lot of nuggets, and please come back again. But the thing that I want to harp on for sure is the fact that you had your full-time job and you took vacation days to work your side hustle. And I feel like some folks out there aren't trying to, like, they're trying to have both worlds, like, right? They're trying to have the money from their full-time job, but they also want the flexibility and the freedom to also work their side hustle or work their passion. And there's going to be some sacrifices you need to do, right? There's going to be some lunch breaks that you're going to need to miss to work for your side hustle. There's going to be some vacation days that you're going to need to miss. Instead of going to Mexico, you're going to an elementary school, or you're going to a juvenile hall to motivate people. So I love the fact that you've been doing that hustle. I just want to harp on that, because I feel like that's just so fire right there. Any other tips for people trying to fire their boss, or better yet, actually, we haven't done this yet. If folks want to learn more about you, if they like your vibes, if they want to get motivated, if they want to be able to get on the pathway of firing their boss, or see the growth of a motivational speaker, the one next up in the making, where can they find you and where can they follow?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at jospyda_FYB. That's JOSPYDA. I'll say it again, JOSPYDA_FYB. I'm also Joe Spyda on Facebook. And I think that it's definitely something that I would encourage you all to follow me, because what you're witnessing is one of the I plan to be the first motivational speaking billionaire. And I think that it's going to take a while, but it's going to happen. And my mentor, Kevin Bracey, he told me it took him about 14 years of speaking before he got to the lifestyle that he dreamed about. And so I've given myself 14 years before I'm able to quit just out of respect for his process. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to see some Wise Word Wednesdays for 14 years before I legitimately can sit back and say, oh, okay, well, I'm done with that. In my opinion, that's what it is now. It could take a little longer than that, and I'm okay with that. But I know out of respect for his process and what he went through and the time that he put in, I feel like it's only right for me to at least give him what he put into the game before I step out. So you can follow. You can also follow the Fire Your Boss page, which is on Instagram. It's @_Fire Your Boss, and you're gonna see complete Wise Word Wednesdays from not just myself, but from Reeves, from DT, from people like Maya, from Addie, and it just the names just go on and on and on. There's been people that continuously do Wise Word Wednesdays they send us, and I want to give all of them a shout out as well too. Thank you for your contribution, because those are the things that. The one thing about Wise Word Wednesday, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much here, but the one thing about Wise Word Wednesday is that everybody has one. Every single person in life has something that they've learned, and so why not talk about that and help somebody, because you don't know who's going through exactly what you're going through or who's about to go through what you've already been through. And those wise words, like those things matter. And it's crazy because people don't even know that, like, I get down sometimes too. You know what I mean? I feel uninspired. I feel unenthused at times too. But those days where, like, I felt uninspired and I felt like my Wise Word Wednesday was crap and nobody's going to like it, those are the days where I got the most comments. Those are the days where people DM me and said, yo, I needed to hear that. Those are the days where people messaged me and said, yo, I just played that for my son and they loved it. They needed this. Thank you so much. So it's like you don't know who's going to benefit from your story. And I feel like because our society is trying to isolate us, especially now during quarantine, right? But even before that, through social media, through, a lot of people think they live in this isolation land where it's like, I'm only going through it by myself. That's not true. But because we don't talk about it, because we don't put ourselves out there, because we don't want to be judged by other people due to our mistakes, because of the way that we represent ourselves on social media, they don't allow other people to see, yo, I'm struggling. And so that's what I tell people, most of my most intense Wise Word Wednesdays, I wasn't talking about nobody but me. I was talking about my struggle. I was talking about the things that I learned. So everybody has a Wise Word Wednesday. And if you want to do a Wise Word Wednesday, you can just send it to the Fire Your Boss Instagram page. You can DM it to us and we'll post it. We'll tag you. Just keep it positive. You can use the hashtag Wise Word Wednesday. And that's how we keep track of all of those as well too.
There it is, y'all. Get active. Definitely follow on all social platforms and get the positivity. So this next episode that we have you on, we got to go over this $1 billion blueprint.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's in the make. I'm gonna tell you now. A lot of people don't like 2020, but I'm gonna just keep it real. 2020 for me has been one of the best years of my life. Not to say that there aren't some difficulties, right? People have gone through some things, but as far as for me, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, this has been the best year that I've ever had, and I'm super excited about 2021.
We share that sentiment.
100% agree with the entrepreneur side. But yeah, I think next episode, whether it's maybe sometime in 2021, definitely want to walk through like just the plan of a motivational speaker and becoming a billionaire from this enterprise. I think a lot of people don't know the amount of money that you can make from motivational speaking,
right.
And then also just like the extra tentacles that can also grow from it. So yeah, that's a whole hour right there. I'm interested.
Yeah, we could have several podcast episodes together. We could just see, even from the fact that you list like you're motivated by ET, like between the two of us, we religiously listen to the S2S podcast. Yes. And like it's just daily motivation in my car on the way to and from work. Like for an hour and a half, I'm listening to that motivation. And it really does like change how you see yourself, how you see life, how you see struggle, how you see everything. So yeah, this has been good, and we'll definitely have several more podcast episodes together if you'll join us.
Yeah, that part.
Absolutely. I love it.
All right, cool. Y'all heard it here first. He said yes. But you already kind of did the whole mic drop. But any other just wise words, for lack of better words, you want to leave folks before we end today's podcast?
Yeah, I think I'd say don't be afraid to get therapy. You know what I mean? That's been one of the most things that I think, especially I just started this in 2020, getting therapy every week. And for me, it's just been a blessing because I'm able to, again, better myself and from a mental aspect of it. So I would encourage you to, make sure that you take care of your mind by getting therapy and talking things out and really just seeing the ways that your previous traumatic experiences are dictating your life and trying to change that. And I think that's dope. And I also want to applaud you all for the whole not eating meat thing. I've actually started this journey where I only eat meat on the weekends, and it's just been super great. It's crazy how much weight I've shed by doing that. It wasn't even intentional. I'm getting scared. I'm like, yo, I didn't want to be this skinny, but but I feel better naturally, because of that. And so I love the fact that y'all are doing that. I don't know about the only on holidays yet. I ain't there yet, but I don't eat beef or pork already. But I definitely try to stay away from eating any type of meat Monday through Friday, and just on the weekends that's when I can indulge. So I love that y'all are doing that, and y'all saying that y'all only do it on holidays is encouraging me to let me know that I can do better or I can do more. So I'm always looking for ways to improve. Y'all just gave it to me.
And it's baby steps, right? We started off, you take like one step at a time. So you do this first, and then you're like, oh shoot, I like how this feels. Mm-hmm. And then you could try like, what happens if we do once a month? And then you go from there. So you at the starting point, you'll get there eventually.
All I know is when I first stopped eating meat and I was living with my grandma at the time, I lost like 25 pounds.
You disappeared.
I was looking. And she was like, baby, are you okay? I think she thought I was on drugs. I weighed like 170, and I'm a solid 200 now. 190 is like where I live comfortably. So 170 was like,
yeah.
But thank you, Josiah, aka Joe Spider, aka FYB King himself, for coming on, giving us some wise words and also a little bit of your journey. A small piece of the long journey to come, y'all. So definitely tap in with the movement and support the young king as he grows. Queen, you got anything else before we wrap up?
No, I'm excited to again have you back to talk about. I know what, like he said, what definitely caught on to me was like the $1 billion goal, and I love that you have such an audacious goal because a lot of people are so afraid to dream big because of the judgment or because of what happens if I don't make it. Like, all right, well, so you're a millionaire. Like, that's still great, So yeah, definitely applaud you for everything you're doing, the Wise Words Wednesdays, the FYB, everything. It's we need people like you in the world to keep us going. Like you said, on those days where it's like, today ain't it. I'm going back to bed. Exactly what you're doing is what we need on days like that. So I applaud you. I'm definitely about to start tapping into these Wise Word Wednesdays and, maybe throwing some in there myself. You know what I'm saying?
Turn it up.
Y'all heard it here first, y'all.
Definitely. But yeah, just excited to see where to have you back, to see where your journey takes you, to see where our journey takes us. Even this conversation is motivational. Like, it's exciting.
All right. Well, beautiful people, thank you for tuning in to another amazing, impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka
the Health Nerd. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.
True.